Hey guys, brand new podcast. I am on tour right now. Go to bertcast.com to see my tour dates. If you're getting this, I'm probably just hitting Cedar Rapids, Green Bay, Peoria, Sioux City. And I'll also be in Austin hanging out if you want to see me in Austin. And then Florida's after that. Big Florida run. We got Tampa, Orlando, Tallahassee, Jacksonville. By the way, first time back in Tallahassee in a while. So if you see me in Tallahassee, say hey. Jacksonville, Hollywood, and then Fort Myers. And then the week after that it's DC, Boston, New York, and then back to Boston. 3 shows at the Wang. Get your tickets at bertcast.com. Today's podcast is a great one. It is a guy I've been a fan of for a very, very, very long time. He is an OG in the comedy game. He really is. He has been selling the theaters that we sell right now. See, there's something very important that you need to know about this is these days is a boom for comedy. You see a lot of us playing theaters that wouldn't normally have played theaters. Theaters were reserved for guys like Howie Mandel. This guy is a game changer. He was doing theaters when no one was doing theaters. His whole career is fascinating. I don't know I know we talk about a little bit about OCD.
A lot about mental health, actually.
We talk a lot about mental health.
It's really good.
It's a really good podcast. And if you deal with mental health issues, like we find a lot of common ground because I have OCD. I don't know. I was told I have OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder, recently. I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know. Here's the deal. I get by the way I get by. And that's what I'm doing right now. So if you're like me and that's not working for you, listen to what Howie says. Definitely getting help really helps you out. It does me. I'm in therapy right now. I don't know if I was in therapy at the time. Was I back in therapy yet?
No, not yet.
I wasn't in therapy at the time. And I had the big spin out that we recover. We talked about it on Two Bears, but I really kind of like talked to it about it at the Denver airport with my family. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. Like, by the way, no passerby noticed it. It was just my daughters and my wife knew Dad was having a rough morning and it was all internal and I couldn't get it. And I know it was bad. And I think that was when Leanne was like, all right, you're done with this. Howie's got a new documentary called But Enough About Me. I watched it. It's phenomenal. Him and his daughter have a podcast. He's got a whole podcast empire. He's got the big warehouse. We also take a prank caller in the middle of this. Ladies and gentlemen, stand-up comedy OG from St. Elsewhere, Howie Mandel. He sanitized everything for you. And by the way, I have OCD, so
I'm sorry.
No, I had a rough patch. We'll talk about it.
Let's stop.
I had a rough patch in Denver.
Recently?
This weekend. Like, so notably bad that my wife and daughters are like, gave me that speech that you talked about in your documentary. And they're like, you got to get help.
Well, then go.
Yeah.
Still almost fucking kills me every day.
Yeah.
No, we're not. Yes. Thank you.
If you told me when I was spending the night at Chris Huff's house when I was a kid, watching your specials, that I would be sitting next to you doing a podcast, I would never believe it in a million years. I am such a fan.
Well, thank you.
I'm such a fan. You come from the generation of comics where you go, well, I could never. How did they do that?
Well, probably the same way you did it. You know, the truth of the matter is I didn't even watch comedy, and it was a fucking dare. That's how I got into it. You know, we talked about, yeah, no, absolutely. So I have like issues, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but I have like, and it's, you know, it's provided me with a career because I get some stories to tell about my issues, and I'm really fucked up, you know, and I didn't have a lot of friends in school. I wasn't good in sports. I was tiny. I looked like a little girl. In high school, I wanted to meet girls, and I joined. I talked about that in the documentary, but I couldn't get on any team, so the only team I can get on was wrestling because it's weight class.
Yeah.
So I was under 90.
You were 4'10".
4'10", 89 pounds, and wearing a onesie, hugging. And I joined to meet girls, but now I'm just sweating with other guys, little guys, a lot of little guys just rolling around on a mat. It's not, I don't think it didn't feel like a sport. It didn't even feel like, it felt like a bad date that I was, you know, like those kind of, an arranged marriage. Like they'd put me in my onesie, There'd be another guy who was as big as me, the same little peanut on the other side, and then we'd get together and hug and roll around, and somebody would go, "You won," and it wasn't a sport, and I didn't meet any girls, but so I don't dance. That was in the early 70s. Disco was the craze. Clubs, Studio 54. I'm not from New York. I'm from Toronto, but that was what people were doing, or they were playing sports, or they were gambling. Getting together for a poker. I didn't have any friends, and I was doing nothing. And somebody said to me one night, they're opening a comedy club, and it's called Yuck Yucks. Have you?
Yeah. I've played Yuck Yucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is like right when it started. And I'd never been to what's a comedy club. I had never even been to a comedy. This is like before there were comedy clubs.
Yeah.
I know what comedy is. I know what a club was.
What year is this?
Probably 76, 77.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the first time I ever saw a comedy club was on Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I saw one on the corner. I was like, what is that?
What year was that?
It's got to be 85.
But that was already the proliferation of comedy. Like they hadn't, I know, like even they had in New York, they had Catch a Rising Star and the Improv, which didn't ring as comedy. Like Catch a Rising Star, because I know Rick Newman, who opened it up, he opened it as a music club, a cabaret. So there'd be Pat Benatar and then Richard Belzer. And then, like it wasn't really traditionally a comedy club. And improv sounded like improv. And I'm from Toronto. We had SC. We had Second City.
Yeah.
So I thought that's what those clubs were. I'm going to go see an unscripted play. I had no idea what I was about to see. So I went to Yuck Yucks, and there were people my age standing on stage talking like I'd never heard it, because I'd only watched stand-up comedy on television. And at that time, maybe The Tonight Show and Merv Griffin in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And things. I didn't even hear
who
people swear.
Who was the comic that you would have known of at the time? Because who was a comic that was on Carson?
Steve Martin as a stand-up comic. But I used to love watching even Woody Allen as a stand-up. I'm old. Yeah. I'm going to be 66 this year. So I was watching. Yeah. So
you look great for you look
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. That's why I do podcasts. I feel like I look good. Oh, this is a video. I thought it was just audio. I had no idea. But I anyway, the point was that I went to the club, and it was so fucking funny. And I saw like just in those days at 77, it's really soft now.
Yeah.
But I heard people saying like fuck and talk. And this was just amazing and talking about these bizarre things. And then Mark Breslin, who owns the club, came up and said, hey, if you think you can do it, at midnight, we're going to feature some amateurs and or on Monday or whatever he said. And the guy that I was sitting with went, you should go up. And I went, okay. And that's what I always do. I have part of my mental health issues are I kind of just jump at everything and without thinking of ramifications, and
I should be taking down a list that I have that I cannot say no. I have impulse control.
Well, and me too. And
I mean, I signed up for a job on Travel Channel, traveling the world for 9 years. And I don't like flying. I have a terrible fear of flying.
No, I saw that. And you on the roller coasters. And you hate heights.
Claustrophobic. I hate heights, and I'm getting in a roller coaster.
And the thing about it is, I end up being in the midst of the truth of the matter is, I'm agoraphobic. I'm socially inept, and I am. I've learned throughout the years the skill of being able to sound a lot more comfortable than I am, but I'm really not. And the dichotomy between how I feel and what we do for a living is crazy. So here you are. You took a job. You have all these fears. Every job makes you face your fears. So he said you should get up, and I went, yeah. No thought or preparation involved in what it took to get up on stage. Because if I had to, in retrospect, there was no joke involved. I wasn't a stand-up comic. And if there was a joke involved, it was that they were going to go, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel. Yeah. And then I was going to show up. And that's the joke, because I'm not a comedian. And he introduced me, and I got them. Fuck. They're going to be surprised. And that was just so stupid. And then I went backstage on that day without any preparation, and they went, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel. And then I walked out. I thought, And here's where trouble starts. You know, like I looked down at the audience after they nicely, out of courtesy, applauded, because I don't know why they applaud when they go, ladies and gentlemen, Howie Mandel. And I've never been anywhere before, but that's just what they do in clubs, right? So they applauded, and then I looked down. I'd never been on stage, never been in front of a spotlight. You know, you're blinded to the room, and you can just see the people in the front. And then I had all these strangers just looking up at me and go, okay, funny boy, what the fuck you got? And I just remember the terror just surging through every fucking pore of my body, just looking down. And now it's like one of those dreams where you're just being humiliated, where you walk into a party naked in front of every stranger. And I'm just standing there and I go, okay. And nothing was coming to me, nothing. I was blank. And if you look at my old YouTube videos, that's what you're watching. It's just terror. So I would go, okay, all right, okay. What? And then they would giggle like you just did. And I wouldn't understand. I go, what? Okay, all right. Want to hear something? Did you hear that? You know, like just whatever fucking, and it was just constant terror. But people were laughing at my terror. And I had OCD at the time also, as I've continued to have. And I'm a germaphobe. And whenever I went out, I always took rubber gloves so that if I used a public restroom, I wasn't touching anything at the time. So I had a supply of surgical gloves. I put my hands in my pocket and I had a glove and I was just so fucking scared. The glove came out. So I took the glove. I don't even know why I thought of this, but I put the glove on my head and pulled it over my nose and started breathing. The fingers were going up and down. The audience started roaring. And so I blew it up and just popped it on my head and went, good night. Just thinking that's my drop the mic moment, and just wanted to fucking run home. And Mark stopped me in the hall and he goes, that was great. I go, what? He goes, that was great. Come back tomorrow. And I go, what do you want me to do tomorrow? He goes, do that again. I go, what the fuck was that? You know, and it was nothing. And that became my act. And people who come up to me, even today, who people know me from years and years ago, will come up and go, what? Or do the rubber glove or do the hand, you know, and I had fucking nothing. And that was the dare that gets me here today. And, you know, you were watching specials and so I had no idea what I was doing. I got a young comedian special.
The one we saw at Christoph's house was you in the round.
That's already 1989.
Yeah.
That's or 80, I think around 18, Howie would.
It was right when we started discovering, like I had seen you. I mean, it's funny. The vivid memories that kind of tick onto my brain that I never forget. And one of the hardest I ever laughed, I can tell you the hardest I ever laughed at on Carson was when he did the thing with the thing where he had the genie hat on and he'd put the Karnak and he says, gush kaj. And they're like, gush kaj.
What's the
and he
question?
opens and he goes, the sound a cow makes when it explodes. And I just fell out. I remember, but one of the hardest I ever laughed. And I hope this memory is accurate because none of my memories are real these days. It feels like you on St. Elsewhere, and you had gotten an inserted penis pump, and you said, "Let me take this thing for a ride." And the guy in the thing next to you was going through depression, and you closed the curtain, and you heard. You're like,
so I'm
nice.
in that scene. It wasn't me that had the penis pump, but somebody did, and I was showing them how. Yeah,
and you heard, and then it was a bag exploding.
Yeah, and
then the curtain opened, and I remember watching that on St. Elsewhere, dying laughing, and but it's funny to hear the way you start and to hear the way your brain works, because I got on stage my first time and with no idea what I would do, no set list, just going. I guess they figure it out when they get up there. And did 30 minutes and just couldn't get me off stage. And I didn't remember one word. And then I just moved to New York to do stand up. And then,
well, that's, you know, so we're very similar in the sense that, you know, it's just, and I think the audience kind of gloms on, it's authentic to you. You know, I know you and I've been following you, and you were a party guy in Florida at the university, and you decided to take your party onto the stage. Yeah. And that's just who you are and what you would have done rather than, you know, and I respect and admire and kind of am jealous of the guys who have the discipline to sit down all day and, you know, craft words.
Myself too.
You know, and I've never done homework. I don't like homework. I don't like to do anything.
No.
Besides wherever I am, whatever happens. I like just shit happens. That's my career, and people think I feel blessed that even today I have a job. I would have never dreamed from that one dare. It was actually, I do remember, April 19th, 1977. So from that one dare, here I am, almost 66 years old, still being invited to a few parties.
It's astounding to me because I look at your career and I think you've just, one of the things that I'm obsessed with comics is the moment when it goes away and you got to rebuild it and you got to refigure it out. And I did not ever know that you had that moment. And I watched the documentary and you said just before Deal or No Deal.
2004, 2005, I was quitting.
Yeah.
It was over. It was really, I didn't aspire to be in this business. I didn't know anything about show business. I didn't know anybody in show business. And when I came out here, again, I was at the Comedy Store and somebody saw me at the Comedy Store and hired me for a show called Make Me Laugh, which just aired here. But the first time you were on television, it's not like today. Today, people have like 600 channels and whatever. They have so many. But you were on TV. Your life changed the next day.
Yeah.
And I got seen from that. And I got on Merv Griffin. And then I did a young comedian special. The young comedian special I did was the kids that were on were me, Seinfeld, Harry Anderson, Richard Lewis. And it was hosted by the Smothers Brothers. And the day that aired, that was HBO. Not even a lot of people had HBO.
I think we saw that one too.
Yeah. The day after that aired, I could sell 10,000 seats. Because there weren't comedians. And then, so I hired this guy named Andy Nullman, because I came from retail. That's what I was doing. So I understand retail and I understand selling. So I hired this guy, Andy Nullman, who I knew from Canada. And he was a writer in the paper. And I told him, listen, you're with paper. All we got to do is we'll four-wall things. And Gallagher was kind of doing that already. But I said, we'll rent out these rooms or these theaters.
Yeah.
And here's how you'll place the ads. And this is what we'll say. And then he promoted my whole tour. And I sold out like 10,000 seats, 2 shows a night after my young comedian special everywhere. So much so that... do
you remember ticket prices back then? I'm obsessed with this part of the business.
$15, $20,
okay.
15, $20 at the time. And then we're from Canada, and there was this little French Japeriere was the name of this festival. And he was doing it just in French. And he saw what we were doing and Andy was doing with selling out me. So he said, Gilbert was the guy's name. He said, I want to expand this into English speaking. Will you help me promote it? So Andy left me as a promoter and went there. That became Just for Laughs. So that's
crap.
Yeah. So I bought Just for Laughs. Just for Laughs is mine. It's me, Bell Media, and Rogers. For those that don't know,
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I just did something for Just for Laughs. The variety event we partnered with Just for Laughs. God dang,
that's
so cool.
I'm a partner in that. So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So I bought it 3 years ago. I invested in it 3 years ago because I want to. And then, as luck would have it, I had it for a year, and then COVID hit. So we've been, kind of circumventing whatever to just kind of. But it's going to come back bigger and better than ever. And for those that don't know, anybody has done something with JFL, if not been discovered, from people from Chappelle to Kevin Hart to, and that's where people got to Tim Allen, Roseanne. They all came out of Just for Laughs, and they give us props for it. And Coachella runs 600,000 people through in the 2 weeks that they're here in the Valley. We run in Montreal, usually at the end of July, we'll run 2 million people through in the 2 weeks.
It's the greatest event in comedy, that festival, because the bar at night, I mean, the shows are one thing, but for a comic, the bar at night, the breakfast place right on that corner, the egg place. Just having breakfast with your friends and guys you don't ever get to see. Hanging out in the corner
at
outside.
The bar, and also at the bar at night.
Bar. It's the best. It is the best.
I tell
event.
everybody, at the end of July, you got to go. You will see people from all over the world, people people who are icons, people who are going to become icons. It's just the most fun epic thing to be part of. So I'm thrilled that I'm a part of that. But I was like this young kid who didn't know I had done these things. Michael Nesmith called me after that. You know,
from the Monkees.
Yeah, and he said he did. And I always got the weirdest calls. At the beginning of my career, I was this guy that was selling shit from Canada. Like I'll tell you. So the first call off of Make Me Laugh was Gene Simmons from Kiss. Kiss was at its height, you know, at the time. And Gene Simmons says, "You're very funny." He saw me at Merv Griffin. He said, "You're very funny." I said, "Thank you." He goes, "You want to open for my girlfriend?" And I go, "Oh, okay." And
do you know who it is, Alston? Can you guess? Gene Simmons'
Gene
girlfriend?
Simmons' girlfriend, 1981.
I mean, it's not his now wife, Shannon.
No.
It's Diana Ross. He was living with Diana Ross, and I became Diana Ross's opening act at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, where they hated me every fucking night because the lights would go down and the crowd would roar and they'd hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, Caesar's Palace is proud to present an evening of Diana Ross," and you're if you listen really closely, no, Howie Mandel, and I would walk out and people would just look at me like, when the fuck is this going to end? It was just horrible. They hated me, except I got called into Diana's dressing room after a week thinking, oh, well, she's going to fire me. I haven't gotten a laugh all week. And she's going to fire me. And I can't wait for this. I just want to be fired. I want to go home. I don't like this business. And she called me in her dressing room and said, "You're so funny. We're going to keep you on," and hired me for another 28 shows.
Wow.
You know, I know. Wow. It was, and I was so upset that I got hired and that she loved me. But even to this day, I just went to her 75th birthday, you know, so I have a connection to her. I got helped by a lot of people. But I was telling you about Mike Nesmith called me and said, "You know, I have a funny idea. The idea is, because I think you're so funny." And he called me, and do you know who Charles Fleischer is?
Of course I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Me and Charles Fleischer, who was Roger Rabbit, actually.
Yeah.
And he was on a show called Welcome Back, Kotter at the time. He was the bad guy that nobody liked in the room. And he brought us up to Monterey, California. And he said, "What I want you to do is I'm going to shoot." He'd done this video called Elephant Parts, which was just a musical video.
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm going to shoot some musical movies of music groups, and I want you to present them and make fun of them." And we did it, and it's going to be called Pop Clips. Now, if you Google Pop Clips, your buddy, go Google Pop Clips. This is a little bit of trivia. Pop Clips and Howie Mandel. Watch this. It comes up on your thing. So me and Charles Fleischer did it. And what does it say in go to all, not videos, just go to all, like what a story about it. No,
Wikipedia,
click on all. You're in, yeah.
Wikipedia.
Well, there it is. What does it say?
Wikipedia.
What does that say? This is it was unbelievable to me.
Pop Clips is a music video television program, the direct predecessor of MTV.
So they said, so we did this pilot.
Pop Clips.
And we did Pop Clips. They sent it in. It says, "We got good news and we have bad news." And Michael called me and said, "What's the good news?" They bought it. "And what's the bad news?" Well, they bought it. They don't want to do Pop Clips. They bought it. They're going to just do a network. So it became a network. And that was the predecessor. That's where they had the idea, and they opened it to MTV. And in the first 2 years of MTV, or one of the couple of years, I did their New Year's Rockin' Eve. I did that for MTV. But to think that you do something and then that becomes, I think, you know, MTV is just always, seems like it's always been there.
I've been wanting the girls and Leanne to get involved in some sort of martial arts or at least combat sport, just so that they know what to do if shit ever arises. But quite honestly, I'm never here. And that's when I found out about Fight Camp. Fight Camp brings the boxing and kickboxing gyms right into your home with full body workouts that you actually look forward to, and a freestanding punching bag that can take the hardest of hits. Fight Camp is made for beginners to experienced boxers. It comes with all the gear you need to box at your house, including a freestanding punching bag, boxing gloves, quick hand wraps, and their unique punching tracking sensor that challenges you to hit minimum amount of punches each round and allow you to track your boxing and kickboxing journey so you can see the progress that you're making. It's great for kids. Fight Camp is one of the only home workouts that's safe for kids to do because there's no heavy weights, there's no spinning wheels, and as most people get Fight Camp bags, the kids are always the first to walk up and want to try it. Learn from 6 highly qualified trainers with all having real fight experience, ranging from pro MMA fighters to the mother of 2 kickboxing champ. Fight Camp uses new tech that tracks you throwing each punch to measure speed, volume, and output so you can track your progress, push yourself, and to compete on the community leaderboard and challenge others to do you or versus you and you versus new mode. You can pay for your Fight Camp over 24 months for less than the cost of a boxing gym. God, how great is that? And you get it right away. Plus, Fight Camp offers free shipping with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So just go to joinfightcamp.com/Bert to get free shipping on Fight Camp. Go to joinfightcamp.com/Bert. Joinfightcamp.com/Bert. If you own a business, you know there aren't enough hours in the day to waste time playing phone tag. The list of customers you need to reach doesn't get any shorter, especially when business is good. That's why local businesses everywhere are turning to Podium. Podium makes every interaction as easy as sending a text. So that makes your business great and getting done way faster. Podium isn't just a better way to communicate, it's a better way to do everything. Gathering reviews, collecting payments, even marketing to your customers. Podium makes it all as easy as press and send. And you don't just free up more time, you'll grow your business and get more done. With Podium, you're going to close deals with customers before the competition even has a chance to call them back. Join more than 100,000 businesses that already use Podium to streamline their customer interaction. Get started for free at podium.com/Bert or sign up for a paid Podium account and get a free credit card reader. Restrictions apply. That's podium.com/Bert. I remember when they came out with MTV, Chris Suarez pitched it to me. We were in my backyard. I was maybe 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And he said, maybe, thanks, Austin.
Are we taking calls?
No, my number got leaked. And so it's just shut
well, let's answer it.
No, you don't want to answer it.
Why?
It's fans that just call nonstop.
Okay.
Call on my computer.
But I can say they got my phone instead of yours. Just should answer. Go, hi. And I'll go, this is Howie Mandel. How the fuck did you get my number? How the fuck did you get my number? Let me answer him.
Are you bringing it in, Halston?
He hung up. I heard it stop ringing.
Call him
Did
back.
it stop ringing?
It was a FaceTime, actually.
It's a FaceTime.
Okay, so just be me. Here. I love fucking with people more than just talking to people. Did you just call me? Yeah.
I'll put it right here.
But they should not see you. They'll see you in that. Hi, why did you call me? Why did you call me? Hello? Turn off the jackhammer. Why did you phone me?
Do what?
You just called me.
Oh, shit, my bad.
Did you just call me?
I'm not sure.
It's Howie Mandel. You just hung up. No.
There's no way that's Howie Mandel.
Yeah, it is. You just dialed me and I dialed back. You hung up the phone.
I'm sorry.
Well, I was right in the middle of something. What is it that you need?
I just saw the number on Reddit.
What number is my number on Reddit?
Shit, it must be.
What do you want?
I don't want anything.
Well, why would you call? Just because you saw a number?
Dude, it's Howie Mandel.
Oh, fucking way. Bert fucking Kreischer.
Bert fucking Kreischer. And I take his calls. Hey, Bert just hired me as a receptionist. This is my first fucking day. And you call, you hang up. I call you back and you act like an asshole. You don't even know what the fuck you're calling. And why would you make a phone call right in the middle of jackhammering?
I'm mowing grass.
Why would you mow grass with a fucking jackhammer? Get a lawnmower.
I got one.
I know, I was kidding.
Hey, man, it was good talking to you. Have a good day, okay?
Get care of you too.
All right, buddy. Take care.
They posted you on Reddit?
Yeah, they posted me on Reddit. Yeah.
I love that. I love when people are uncomfortable.
Yeah. I love that he goes, well, that's Howie Mandel? Wait, I'm sorry, I got it off Reddit. I don't know. He was mowing the fucking lawn.
No, but he sees me. he sees me and I go, you just called. And he goes, no, I didn't call. And then he sees you and goes, no fucking way. That's who he called. He called you.
Yeah.
Why are you no fucking way?
My number got leaked on Reddit, and that happens. I had to get a new phone number. It happens all day, every day.
Yeah, but when you get a new phone number, you have to get rid of the old one. Otherwise, you're still taking the calls.
What happened is, so I'm keeping the old number.
Don't give that. You're broadcasting now.
No, I'm keeping the old number. But it's happened is it's tethered to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
That old phone and this phone are tethered to my computer, so the FaceTimes come up. I was just in a meeting. I was in a producer's meeting, and it just happened nonstop. And I'm on Zoom, and I'm like, click, 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 click.
You doing season 2 of Go Big?
No, we just did it. But can I tell you something?
What?
I said, this is going to sound horrible, but I'm sitting on the thing, and I go, I'm doing a pretty good job on this. And I was talking to Rosario Dawson. I go, I really honestly think people will see me hosting this, and I wonder if I could get a job on like America's Got Talent hosting that. Like when she was like, you're hosting our talent show, asshole. And I went, oh yeah, that's right. My bad. I was like, yep.
That's like going up to the host at a party you're at and going, this party thing is fun. I wonder if I can get invited to a party.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's another party. No, because this whole party thing seems like I'm having fun and I'm really gelling with people. Do you know of any parties in the area where I can go and do what I'm doing here?
I wasn't thinking, and I was like, I'm doing a really good job. Like I'm a pretty good host, but we're doing.
I saw DJ Khaled did the.
No, he ended up jumping off. And,
did he?
Yeah, and T-Pain ended up doing it. T-Pain's hilarious. T-Pain, it's a great. I enjoy that. I would enjoy your job better. Hosting is a lot more work.
It is. That's why I like my job, because it's, the fact that you're using the word job with what I do on AGT is not true.
Oh, it's funny. You guys are. I mean, you guys. It's just such a great fucking show. It really is such a great fucking.
It is
show.
a great show, and I would have never dreamed. You said as we started what these beginnings are, and we were talking about before your
FaceTime.
Gardner called, but the I was talking about how in 2004, I'd been playing like these huge things all through the 80s and specials. I did about 8 specials and HBO and Showtime, and the one you saw was Showtime, and and I did St. Elsewhere, and then by 2004, my career was kind of waning, And
now, had you been the kind of guy that was like, I have a goal?
No, none.
You just were like, let's just work.
Don't think, the truth of the matter is if I'm not talking to you right now and not in the midst of this sentence, I'll be in a fucking dark place. My mind it's not about career. It's just, I get into my head and I'm
curious. I want to talk about that.
Waiting to die. And, it's just.
Wait, did you wake up at 3 a.m. and go, I need to distract my brain because my brain's going to take me somewhere I don't want to be? Because my brain just says to me, hey, just so you know, one day you will die and you can't stop it. And I think that thought constantly.
Now, that doesn't stop. So if I wake up at 3 a.m. and that thought coincides with a handful of gummies, and then I wake my wife up and goes, what the fuck are you chewing? I go, what do you think I'm chewing? I got gummies and I'm just trying to get out of this mindset for a minute. So if I'm not knocked out cold or doing comedy or working, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So, and I only do that at night, but during the day, what was the question?
Was it 2004? You just,
so I came off a series. I decided I didn't want to do movies. Movies were hell for me. It's really hard because there's so much waiting and so much downtime. And you sit in a trailer and you do one line and you go, is that funny? And the director tells you, don't worry, that's going to work. And then you're at the mercy of whoever for 2 years later, you're not going to see it. And I just don't like, didn't like, you'd like the process?
I actually had said, I don't like acting before I had ever acted. And because I do stuff and I felt like I was wasting my time. And then this process I absolutely loved, but I could not be an actor. I've turned down a bunch of stuff because I can't just
But
be
you're
an
playing
actor.
a real story.
I can play me. I can play a version of me, but I also need to be in control of everything. Like I need to be able to walk into anyone's office. I need to be able to walk into any.
So there's where that's the big difference. So I've never had that in a movie.
Oh,
and, on movie sets, it was hell for me. So I wasn't.
I listened to you talk about that, and I went. I have weird things where if people go, all right, go to your trailer, and we'll come get you when you're ready. I start going. You don't get to tell me when I'm going to stand outside, and then I'm standing outside in the sun because I don't want to be. I get anxious with someone just waiting for someone to knock on my door. I start freaking out. That I actually put signs. Anyone that's ever worked with me knows I put signs say, please don't knock on my door. Just open it. I'm not doing anything bad. Just open my door. I don't want you knocking.
Well, we sound similar. Well, this is what it looks like after 20 years more of this hell. But anyway, in 2004, ticket sales started waning. I was now playing clubs, not full. I was reading for parts on TV for 5 lines and under, and I'm sitting in folding chairs outside casting offices. And I said, and I've never, ever done it for money. I did, and this is not anything I pursued. I've done really well, but that wasn't the reason I got up on the dare. That's not the reason why I did the tour. It was like the first time I felt connected. And for me, those moments like you have when you're terrified at the top of a roller coaster because you're afraid of heights, there's nothing that keeps you in the moment. I need to have that fear. I think it's like when people are cutters and stuff like that, in that moment, to feel that pain or to feel that fear or to feel that. I think that's, for me, that's what it is. No,
I find myself reaching out for these things that I know are going to, I don't know. It's like
that adrenaline of being terrified. Takes you out of any possibility of being able to worry about what's going to happen in 5 minutes. What happened before.
There's a moment in free fall, and I experienced a lot of free fall. Where your brain disconnects from everything that all you are is in that moment. You can't, and
it takes you falling out of a fucking plane to get
out of a plane, jumping off a bridge, jumping off a cliff, jumping off, and that it became almost
doesn't matter what you exit, you're still falling.
Yeah, it was, and I would not, I would. It's really crazy, but I had some moments of bliss on roller coasters, and I would have panic as soon as they buttoned me in. Yeah, I started panicking.
That's how I feel. So that's the exact, I share that with you. So the thing was that I said, I never went in it I just wanted to do it, but it was getting sad.
Wow. It was so crazy. I just played Red Rocks, and when they offered me Red Rocks, 10,000 seats, beyond what I ever thought I could sell, I did the same impulse. Yeah, no, I'll do it. And they were like, well, it's going to be a little, I go, no. And I obsessed about it. I went crazy about it, and I thought about it nonstop. And all I did was promo videos. I went into surgery with my phone in my hand, going under anesthesia, saying, September 8th, I'll be at Red Rocks. The night before me is Jimmy Buffett. The night after, and I obsessed about it. And then when I did it, it's like all of a sudden, it's crazy. I take these things that are way bigger than I ever think I could do. And then I get there and I'm fucking losing my mind, going like, oh shit. And then it's the free fall moment where you're like, God damn it.
No, I do. So it's an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah.
And we find different ways to get it. So then I was going to quit. I said, I'm beating myself up at this point. And in 2005, I'd already been doing it for 25 years, almost 30 years. I'm in my 45th year now of comedy. Or what's 77 and 21? 44.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah, roughly. So I said, I'll go do something. I love real estate. That's why I love, I don't know if you talk about what you're doing here, but your home is just amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. So I love real estate and I love construction. And all along my career, because I always thought that was the thing. I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
That's what I could fall back. I can't trust comedy or show business. And I still feel like I know very little about show business. And so I said, I'm just going to do that. And then once or twice a week, I can go down to the Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store and get my little comedy fix. Yeah. I don't need to make money and I don't need to be on TV.
Let me ask you a question. In construction, do you find, I'm trying to connect my things that keep me up. Do you find yourself in building a house? Are there things that aren't perfect that make you crazy?
Well, that's my OCD. Yes.
Yeah.
And not only are they not perfect, my wife doesn't like that I do it because I build a lot of houses.
You have no idea. You have no fucking idea. When we renovated our last house, the small house we renovated, My wife walked in on me at 2 a.m. with a golf ball, putting it in corners
see
of the
whether it
house
was
to see if
level.
it was level. She goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I go, "How come no one's done this? Is no one checking?" I go, "Watch our kitchen," and it just whomp. And she goes, and then I am like, "Fucking."
You're not the first guy to have a wife wake up and your husband's in the other room playing with his balls.
So keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. So
No, but that's exactly what.
Oh
Yeah, and then I go like every day or 4 times a day when something, whatever, the framer's there.
Yeah.
I mean, this wall wasn't here when we were here an hour ago. And she goes, "Big fucking deal." I go, no, for me. So I watch everything, and I get so immersed in the minutia of construction, and she has no desire to even be a small part of it. But so I said I'm going to quit. And then I got the call from my manager at the time. He's still my manager, Michael Romberg, who said, NBC is calling and they want you to do a game show they're going to throw everything at it. They're doing it for 5 nights a week. And I went, fuck off. And I hung up the phone. And I've talked about this many times, but in 2005, if you could jet yourself back to 2005, no, not one comedian, not one person that ever had any, had their foot in comedy, had been a game show host, not since Groucho Marx, Did You Bet Your Life, which Leno is doing now, by the way. I saw a promo for it last night on TV. You Bet Your Life, which was in the 50s, I think, or the 60s. Groucho Marx.
Yeah.
But up until then, and when your currency is comedy and irony, up until 2004, and nothing against a game show host, but that was the punchline. Acting like a game show host. That was comedians didn't do it. Game show hosts were kind of slicked up guys in suits who read questions with a long mic, who read questions to the card, and they were really it was very, very, kind of corny.
No, the landscape of television when I entered in 2000 was movie stars don't do television.
Right.
Television stars don't do game shows
or commercials.
No one's a host of a show. Don't host anything.
Right.
And if you were a comic, you had to strive to be everything. One of those. You had to hope to be one of those. You couldn't just be a comic.
Well, you remember, even I did one of the first shows they had me on when I did St. Elsewhere was a thing called Tattletales. Bert Convy was the host of Tattletales. And it was, you had to match, it's kind of like the Newlywed Game, but it was celebrities where you had to match, your wife had to guess the answer. Bert Convy he passed away, he's a great guy, but he was becoming a movie star. And then he started hosting a show. He lost his whole movie career.
Really?
Yeah. So when he called me, I just said, fuck off. And they called me back. And my manager is actually my best friend. And we've been friends since we were 14 years old. So I don't want to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we grew up together.
Yeah.
My manager and I. He came out here, lived on my couch, and now opened probably one of the biggest comedy and production companies there is. 3 Arts. Do you know 3 Arts?
Yeah. I didn't realize that's who it was.
Yeah. So he lived on my couch. Michael Rodenberg lived on my couch when he came out here and went to law school. I was the first client they ever had, and I'm the first client he ever had as a lawyer, then when he became a manager. But anyway, I'm here to tell you that I've started. I know. I feel like MTV.
You're like the millennial Charlie Chaplin. Because you hear the stories of Charlie Chaplin goes, we should have studios or whatever. Whatever. I don't even know. But that's everything.
But
you're
saying
me.
I look like a guy who's going to take a 14-year-old girl and go to Europe and marry her. Isn't that what Charlie did? Didn't he get thrown out of Hollywood for?
Did he marry a 14-year-old?
I think he did. Oh, I may be wrong. Will you Google that? Did he? I don't want to besmirch. I love Charlie Chaplin, but that's what he got. That was the controversy that was involved.
Really? Is that what the end of his career?
I think so.
I can't even
Didn't they
imagine
do that? I saw the movie with Robert Downey Jr. That was the movie. That's what they in the story.
Really?
Didn't you ever see Chaplin?
I did, but I don't remember stuff very well.
Okay.
I can't imagine falling in love with a 14-year-old. I have a 15-year-old, and we have such issues.
Well, first of all, it's not only a 14-year-old. That's your daughter, sadistic tyrant who fucked teenage girls.
Okay, all right.
It's a Vice article.
This headline that he put up. That's his bio. That was his own bio. That's not even.
What do you want me to say about you before you bring you on stage?
How do you want to be remembered?
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. So you learn something every day.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know how that got
game show.
12. She was 12, not 14.
Oh,
wow.
Stupid me.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
It doesn't make it much different.
The fuck. 12?
12.
That's so
It's not even
crazy.
puberty yet.
No, well, I don't know.
I don't know when my daughters didn't really share their puberty experiences with me entirely.
It's so weird because they used to call me and tell me exactly what was going on.
My daughters?
Yeah. Maybe it was the anonymity of me not knowing your daughters that they were comfortable telling me. I just got blood in my pants. What is that?
Oh, wait. No, I did talk about my daughter's periods on Conan. Shit, I did. And in my special. Yeah, I definitely followed their periods.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Because you got to know when you have the edge over them. There's a time of month where they can be the...
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, the point was that I didn't want to do a fucking game show. And then they called me back and they said, will you just listen to it? This is a huge hit all over the world. NBC, they've never put 5 nights of programming on a big network of just a game show. They've never done that before. Game shows were kind of allocated, in the 60s and 70s, they were in primetime. There was no primetime game.
Not that time.
No, the one that they had, it exploded. And that's the reason why that gave them the leverage to do it was Millionaire.
Yep.
With Regis. So
I
that's
remember watching Norm Macdonald on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
I'm heartbroken. No, I didn't watch him on that.
It's one of the most epic. I think he wins $1 million or he loses. He goes for the $1 million and loses it all. But he just flip-flops back and forth on like answer to answer.
To be honest with you, he is one of the funniest guys I ever met, one of the funniest guys I ever worked with. I am so fucking heartbroken by that loss. I had no idea.
He meant, it's interesting to his peers like you, everyone knows him as one thing, and to all us, like all the younger guys, he was a guy that would take the time to text or DM you and say that he was like proud of you or congratulations, or if you were going through something, he'd say, hey, this isn't real. Don't worry about it. He was
the best. If you want to get the consummate feeling of who he was, you Google his appearance on Letterman the day he got fired. And if you really watch him and it's very funny. David is there protecting his ass like crazy. And he won't say anything negative about Don Ohlmeyer.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he took a call where he goes, the guy that fired him just called him up and said, you know why I'm firing you? Because you're not funny. And I mean, there's no sharper arrow to jam into a comedian's heart than to tell them to their face they're not funny. And the way he handles that in that interview it's really funny, and it's a great epic.
The line he says that I didn't catch until yesterday, the day before yesterday, the day he passed, was he called me and said, you're not funny, which in any other regular job, you'd have a lawsuit on your hands. You can't just call someone going, you're fired because you're not funny. He goes, but it turns out that, no, he goes, you're fired. And he goes, well, that's bad news. He goes, well, you're not funny. He goes, well, that's even worse.
That's
news.
worse news. That's what
in any other job, you'd have a lawsuit on your hands.
Right.
You can't fire me because I'm not funny.
But that's why he was able to hold on to the humor and the darkness of the moment for him personally. But he did it with such grace and without malice, he had reason to be crazy angry, but he was one of those guys. And he kind of reminded me of you and maybe me in the sense that when we're told not to do something, that's the fuel that you just lit the fucking fuse. If you want something done, tell me not to do it. If you say, no, that's not my line, don't answer the phone, I'm getting then I want to, I didn't have an idea, but only because you said that's a bad place to go.
My brain works so much faster when you say don't do something. Though I got kicked out of a meeting in our fraternity. They were trying to do this thing about homecoming with the Thetas, and I made a joke, and then everyone laughed. And then I made another joke, and everyone laughed. And our president stood up and he goes, you make one more joke about this damn homecoming and the Thetas, and you're out of all the chapters for the rest of the year. As soon as he said that, my brain goes, perfect. So he goes, understood? And I go, I get it. He sits down and goes, okay, let's proceed. And I lean into these guys. I go, 2 Thetas walk in a bar. And the place went fucking nuts. He goes, you're out. And I'm thinking, everything that defines me is the thing that you're saying I can't do. That's all I want to do now.
I love you.
Oh, it's
that's amazing. So that's kind of, I think that's pretty common amongst people who got into this business to do all the things that we were told and admonished, the way we speak, the things we speak of,
Yeah.
the way we show up, how we do things is all about, bucking the system.
Yeah.
And because we feel that the system kind of oppressed us. So back to my story is that I got a call back within the hour and they said, will you just look at the game show? And at the time, I live here in the Valley near you, and they had Jerry's Deli here.
I remember it.
I was in the one close to here.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. You're watching. That's if you heard something in the background, I'm here with Rich, who produces everything. And while I'm on podcasts, he likes to watch porn, but he doesn't know where his mute button is. But I don't know if it was me, but the screaming that I heard coming out of your 12-year-olds, you were watching either a Charlie Chaplin film or.
This podcast is brought to you by Hims. Hims is one-stop shopping for men's hair loss, sexual wellness, all shit meant for men's. It was the company was created by a man that knew that most conversations men want to have about their health are better to have online. I'm not going to say all men, but I know for a fact, myself included, if I have a health concern, I'd rather go online than go wait in an awkward doctor's line. So did you know that 66% of men start losing their hair by the age of 33? I started losing mine when is it 33 or 35? I started losing mine when I was 22. It's 35. It's 35. I started losing mine by the time I was 22, and I started panicking. I went to the doctor. It took me forever to follow through that appointment because I knew that I was going to have to talk to a receptionist and a nurse, and I was going to tell everyone I was going bald, and then they told me I wasn't, and then I knew that I would get a prescription. I'd have to go wait in the long pharmacy lines. Well, 4Hims connects you with licensed medical professionals online, which would save you hours. It's completely confidential and discreet. All you got to do, answer a few quick questions, and a medical professional will review, and if they determine it's right for you, they can prescribe you medication to treat your hair loss that is shipped directly and discreetly to your door. And that's real medication, by the way. Today, Hims is giving you the best offer yet. If you're not happy with results after 90 days, Hims will give you a full refund. And right now, my listeners can get their first visit absolutely for free. Go to 4hims.com/Bertcast. That's 4hims.com/Bertcast. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Remember, that's 4hims.com/Bertcast.
So I said, I don't even want to go for this, but I'm in Jerry's.
Yeah.
I'll be here for another half hour. If they want to show up here and talk to me, they said, just meet with the guy. I go, if the guy wants to come here and meet me, I'll buy him a soup.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there by myself and he showed up, this guy named Rob Smith. He was with Endemol, and he showed up, and I have it in my office with, it's like he didn't even go to Kinko's. I thought I was being pranked. It was like this. He had this art card that he made, and he drew lines with a ruler, and he cut out little squares, which were eventually supposed to be like the briefcases. And he told me to pick them out. He moved my soup away. And I realized, and again, I thought it was the worst fucking game. It was like, okay, pick the one that you think's worth $1 million, and then we'll flip over other cards. But it's just like all he kept saying was open. Okay, flip it over. Okay, flip it over. Which one now? Okay, flip it over. Okay, which one now? Flip it over. Okay, which one now? Flip it. There was no game. I go, you're going to do this for an hour every night? Just people picking the case and opening the case? What's the fucking show? There's no skill. There's no trivia. This is like a fucking joke. And he said to me like 10 times, we can't do it without you. You got to do it. You got to do it. I go, let me think. I go home and I told my wife the story, and apparently I'm hard to live with. So she said, just please take the job, get out of the fucking house. She did. So I said, I'll go do the job. So I went and did the job, and we shot. And to be totally honest with you, I was so embarrassed. I was really, I had no idea what it was.
I was first time I saw it, I went, oh, this is amazing.
Well, not me. Because I was in it. I at first I thought, because here's what happened. I said to them, okay, so first of all, my wife said, go take the job. This was like Friday, right? So I called back to Michael, who put me on the phone to NBC, and I said, I'm going to do it. And they congratulated me. And I go, so when do you start? And they go, we tape Monday. I go, you tape Monday? I go, well, don't you have to hire models? They go, we got them all. I go, well, is there a set? Well, it's built. So then I start thinking, how many rungs down the ladder of choices?
Wait, who was the one? Who was the one 3 before you?
I know some of them. I've met them in the years. One of them was Ellen. They asked Ellen. Ellen said no, and a bunch. Everybody said no.
Yeah,
and I didn't. I told you that's how this started. I say yes to everything. So, and then I said, can I hire a writer, just to give me some shit to do? Like, I'm going to be in front of an audience, and I think it's a shitty game. So maybe where do I have an opportunity to be in front of a network audience? Mm-hmm. So, and they gave me money for a writer, and the writer and me sat in the room and over the weekend, and I thought it's like some funny things about briefcases and models. And then I walked out there, and, there was I'll never forget. I've done 500 episodes. The very first episode was a woman named Karen Van. And I met her, and she told me she's a single mother and 3 boys. They were sitting in the audience, the kids there. And we started to play the game. And then I realized this is real. This girl, these are kids sitting here. This woman has never owned a home, doesn't have any health insurance. And the first offer was something like 20 grand. And she didn't live in LA. 20 grand could have bought her health insurance. 20 grand could have been a down payment on a house. 20 grand could save her life. And without even a thought, she went, no deal. And I looked at her. It was really hard to be within a few feet of a real human being who really needed something. And I was going, really? And then I realized that she was in this haze. And I wonder, have you been on stage on television with somebody who isn't somebody from television, and you see there's a gloss that goes over somebody with all the lights and all the cameras and the audience there, they're not really into, and they'll tell you themselves. I was on the show and it's all a blur. I don't know. It was just so exciting being there on the set. So that's what I sensed was happening. And then I got afraid of, if I start doing the shtick and the bits and she starts laughing or whatever, I'm going to distract her because she's already not making good decisions.
Yeah.
So, and that's where I got my cadence. So I would go, Karen Van, the offer is, and I was talking to her like I was talking to my children when they were 5. The offer is, listen to me, $60,000. That's guaranteed. Or you have to open up another 3 cases. $60,000.
God, it was
deal
such a good
or no
show.
deal. And so what happened is I tried to get the best game possible. I'll be honest with you. She walked out the first show with $5,000. That's all she walked out with. And then we did a recap to find out what people had done with their money. She got her tits done. So, and I'm not saying that was good.
Could have made money off that.
Yeah. Well, she made a mountain out of a
Well.
Anyway, the thing was that I was so embarrassed because I thought for the first time I'm on network TV and like for an hour, 5 nights a week, this is going to be the most humiliating thing I've ever heard done in my life. I'm about to be skewered and embarrassed and humiliated. So I got on a plane and me and my family went out to the Caribbean. And we're not in front of a TV, and the first day it aired, I got a text from Rob Smith, the guy that met me. He goes, this went through the roof. I go, what are we talking about? He goes, the show went through the roof. And then he calls me the next night, it's even more. The next night, even more. We had over 100 million viewers in the first week, just on the first, like this is before there were streamers and you can air it on 3 different and I got back on a plane. I landed in Miami. Within 30 seconds of getting off the plane, the first person I saw went, deal or no deal? And then every person, and I got to tell you that from that moment on, having been in the business for 25 years and about leaving, that is probably the biggest success that I've ever had. That's the first time that whoever was my audience was always fractured. When I did the Young Comedian special, people knew me from comedy and were buying tickets, and that had kind of waned, but I was the comedian with the rubber glove on the head and the handbag. People who watched Sane Elsewhere weren't necessarily comedy fans. Yeah. So I would get letters at that time. That was before email. I'd get tons of letters saying, I have a bet with my husband that you're not the same guy that puts the fiscus is not the same guy that puts the rubber glove on his head. So they would bet that. And I was doing Bobby's World, and that was like moms in the morning with their babies. So none of these audiences were together, and I couldn't bring them to one room together. When I did Deal or No Deal and we started talking and people would come on and say they were a fan of Bobby or they loved St. Elsewhere or they're a doctor.
Bobby would show up. Bobby was in your act though a little bit.
It was. So, but that was the biggest success I had. And I started a production company. I renegotiated, and I've never had more success. In fact, right after that, after the first season, they hired Jeff Foxworthy to do Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Yeah.
They hired Bob Saget to do 1 versus 100. They hired Louis Anderson to do what Steve Harvey's doing now. Family Feud. And now having a comedian headline or host a show is par for the course. So what I'm trying to say here is...
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's so interesting. What time do you have to get out of here by? Okay. So I'm curious. I'm really curious about pranks because you enjoy pranks. And
I really do.
Pranks make me extremely uncomfortable. Like,
yes, that's exactly what I like.
But I was like, there's certain people that love pranks. And then like for me, I sometimes can't even watch prank shows, but it's different. Pranks have gotten different from what was the first one was Candid Camera. Candid Camera was like,
well, Candid Camera is what got me into comedy. Candid Camera is the first time in my life that I understood comedy for whatever I understand it to be.
Yeah.
And that was because my family loved comedy. My dad bought comedy albums. My mom and dad were always, the Ed Sullivan Show was always on. The Tonight Show was always on. And I'm talking about being 3 or 4 years old, and I'd hear them in the living room laughing hysterically, or he'd put on an album. And I would walk out as a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old into the living room wanting to join in the laughter. And I'd hear somebody talking about, you know, what my mother-in-law said. I'm like, I don't even know what a fucking mother-in-law is. I've never even heard that term before. Yeah. So nothing made sense. And I felt like I wasn't invited to the party. On Sunday nights, the biggest show was Candid Camera. And I remember sitting down, and Alan Funt, which was this nice old man, would say, here's what I'm going to do. I have told this woman that she's a receptionist in my office, and you cannot miss one call. I'm going out to lunch, and you can't miss one call. What I've done is I've tied a rope to the desk, to this leg. We drilled it through a hole through the wall. When the phone rings, every time she goes to reach for the phone, we're going to pull the rope, and the desk is going to go away, and we'll see how she reacts. Yeah. Now, the thing is, for the first month, when he explained that, he explained it to me as a 4-year-old could understand. My parents understood. I turned around, and we were all just sitting there. Oh my God, I can't wait. It's kind of like the ultimate surprise party. I understood it. We were all in. It made me feel good. I understood what was going on, and we were waiting. It's like, she's coming up the driveway. She's coming up the driveway. And then what would happen is we sat there, and we watched, and the phone rang. She went to reach for the phone. He pulled the rope. The desk went away. You can see her jaw drop, the horror in her face. And that's the first time I can vividly remember that moment right now. The guttural laugh that came out of me, turned around, and I saw both my parents laughing that hard. And from that moment on, I have tried to replicate that feeling. I personally don't love stories and jokes as much as I love, and maybe it's because that's how I feel and it's comfortable. The more awkward, the more uncomfortable it is. And it's because it's relatable. We're all human beings. You know, if somebody tells me 2 guys walked into a bar, well, number one, in my mind, they didn't. Yeah. And you're just making up the story about the other one. So it's hard for me to, or they go, you want to hear a funny joke? Well, it's a joke. Yeah. A joke's not funny to me, but reality is funny. Yeah. Reality, when somebody feels awkward and uncomfortable, it's relatable. We all feel like awkward. And if I can be the architect of that awkwardness, and with in good humor, like nobody gets hurt, but they are uncomfortable for the moment. You know, I did a show on Fox years ago called Mobbed, which was based on flash mobs. Really? And I was telling, and it was people, they wouldn't let me, I wanted to, whatever news you had to have. In fact, you know, whether you're proposing to somebody or whatever, we would make it a joke. I would tell them that we need to create a world where it is so dark. Like if you love somebody and you want to throw them a surprise party, the best way to do that, even if you love it, they have to believe that everybody forgot about their birthday, or nobody gives a shit about your birthday, or people made other plans and aren't going to be there. You need to drop their psyche so fucking low so that when they open that door, it's so high and so exciting. And that's what I feel like a prank is. A prank is put somebody in a real uncomfortable, awkward human situation and then tell them, hey buddy, It's not real. It's just me. It's Howie, and I'm
Yeah.
doing that. And I do a podcast now with my daughter.
Yeah.
And what we do all the time, and that just came out of necessity during COVID, I would call her and do things like this. And whether it's a spam call or somebody calls or we called somebody, we were making prank calls and we were laughing hysterically. And my wife walked in the room and said, "What is this for?" And I said, "For me." Like I didn't record anything.
Yeah.
And she said, "You should record it." And that became Howie Mandel Does Stuff. And that's why, listen, there's enough podcasts and you've got the market pretty cornered on
No, I wouldn't
podcasts.
say that.
But you do it enough. And I just put it out now because that's what I love. And I've had people on and go like, go make a prank call with me or let's do something. And a lot of people go, I'm really uncomfortable. I kind of understand that.
No. It's funny. I don't, like there's a certain, I can't prank people. I can't. And I think as you're saying this, I think it's because I am the perfect prankable person.
But so am
Is
I.
I'm very gullible.
But so am I.
And so,
But even the thing that we just did,
yeah.
for me, I don't know.
I love
how
that.
you-
I love that.
No, but I'll tell you, but for me personally, he goes, what's before it comes to fruition, my favorite moment, and I go, "You just called me. I'm Howie Mandel." And he took off his glove before you got on, just that moment, before he laughed, before he said, "Oh shit," he's watching those, the gears in his
Yeah.
head going, "What the fuck? Wait a minute. Howie, what? I'm mowing my fucking lawn. I saw a number on Reddit for Bert. What the fuck is going?" And before he realizes the joke, just that confusion, just that moment, living in that space, because that's the space we all go for.
Yeah.
You know, the people like you and who are not like you that ride a roller coaster, that uncomfortable moment is what you got on for. That when you get off that first peak and you're doing the drop, before you know you're okay, before you figure out that this is going to end well, when you are screaming because you think you're coming this close to death, that's why you get on it.
Yeah.
So for me, the prank call is before you can get the laugh, before the goofiness begins. All these people who are in a situation that they can't even figure out how they got into this.
Yeah.
Is this even real? How does this fucking work? I didn't dial in. What the fuck? And I love that. What the fuck? And I feel like that's my feeling every time for the first 5 seconds of being awake each morning. I
Yeah.
open my eyes and I have to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. And so I find that for me personally, the most
Yeah.
relatable kind of comedy. People have said to me, "Do you feel bad? Is it mean?" I don't.
I don't think pranks are mean. I think,
Well, I don't do it with that intent.
yeah, no. Yeah. And I think that what's funny is one of my favorite things to do was do prank call. My daughters brought me in the room one time and they're like, "Hey, Dad, we're doing prank calls." And I was like, "You're not supposed to bring your dad in. You're supposed to do it by yourselves." You don't, like, in my head, I was like, "What weird kids that," and they go, "You want to do them with us?" And I was like, "Guys, I don't do prank calls." And they're like, "Oh, they're fun. Watch." And Isla, my youngest, must have been like 10 at the time, just calls a number and goes, "Hello? Is Louis there?" "Okay." And hangs up. And I go, "It's not a prank call. You just called the wrong number." She goes, "No, it's funny. Try it again." And Georgia goes, "I'll show you how to do it." And Georgia calls a number and goes, who's older. She goes, "Hi, you just won a car, a Prius. Blue, hold on. Dad, can you finish it?" And I was like this. So I used to do prank. I go, "Let's do prank calls." And they would it was like, they could give you the premise of the joke. They didn't know how to get the punchline out.
I love
and
that.
And so then I called this guy. Do you know who Brendan Walsh is?
Yeah.
Brendan Walsh is a legit. He's maybe my favorite prank person in the world.
Right.
He's the one. I don't know if you know this story, and I'll share it for everyone. There was a Circuit City that closed,
Right.
and in Silver Lake, and he went up and got a banner printed that said "New Whole Foods coming soon," and put it on the chain link fence outside the Circuit City so that he could listen to people around his coffee shop going, "They got a Whole Foods coming." And there was no Whole Foods.
I know.
He did one.
But I love it. See, that's my favorite. My wife always
Yeah.
gets mad at me because she goes like, "Who's the joke for?" Like, you're not telling anybody it's a
Yeah.
joke. And I say, I like to live in that world where I'm at the where I'm at the coffee shop, hearing people knowing it's not true.
Yeah.
And you're right. People might say, well, there's no punchline. It's no,
Well, the
but
punchline,
they're just misinformed people.
yeah. When they, at our Gelson's, or we used to have a Gelson's across our street, every year around Christmas, you could donate money, write your name on a little thing. They'd put it up at the sign and donate money. And the first time I did it, I went in and I said, yeah, I'll donate it. $10. I got the thing and I wrote Brad Pitt and I gave it to her and she didn't even look at it. She put it up. And so and then the next time I came in, I went, she goes, you want to give money? I go, yeah. Has any celebrities done that? She goes, yeah, actually Brad Pitt was in the other day. I was like, for real? I go, what's he like? And the woman lied to me. She goes, he's great. He was the nicest guy in the world. And I was like, oh, cool. Oh, maybe I'll do it.
Why is that a lie? Because Brad Pitt is great and he is the nicest guy.
Yeah, but she had never met him.
No, I know.
Yeah. But
I love when people think I'm an idiot. What is that?
oh,
I love when people think that I'm an asshole.
oh, wait, I'm sorry. I love pranks. Oh, shit.
What
Have you ever
happened?
seen this? Oh, I forgot I did this.
Let me see.
So I used to do these hotel arts. Go to the refrigerator. I would do these. It was called "What Will the Maid Think?" And I would leave the room in a manner for the maid,
that's
so that when she
hysterical.
found them, she would go, "Oh shit!" So this,
Oh, that's amazing.
it's a torso.
So what are you telling me?
This
you
is my
just
favorite one.
realized
The
you
one-
don't.
the
but
one-
but there's 38 to choose from. This
yeah.
came from I don't like pranks.
I
Oh
love
yeah,
them.
I do.
I love them. I
Here.
love them. I
No,
love them. I
but
love them.
Turn to page 61 of
Go
my
to the one.
pranks.
This was my favorite one. This is the best one I ever did right there. I did this in Canada across the street from the West Edmonton Mall. Click that one that your nails over. I just left a sheet tied to the thing out the window as if that's how I got out.
left.
And then I'd leave a huge tip for the maid. And they got so big that I'd check into a hotel.
Yeah.
And people would go, because it went viral on like Good Morning America, Today Show. And then I'd get there and they'd be like, hey, we left a bunch of stuff in your room for you to make some stuff for us. And they'd fill my room with shit, like 100 towels and just everything. That was one I did in New York City. I'd leave clothes in there because I had clothes from Travel Channel.
Right.
So I just leave my wardrobe in there and leave it like that. And people would come in, the maids would take pictures of it and
that's
post it.
hysterical.
That's one of my first ones I did. And
That's
so
hysterical.
It's called What Will the Maid Think?
So that's like that's
Look at the toilet paper. I just saw the toilet paper one I did.
On the toilet
No,
there?
no. On the, up there, right there. I wrote that on the toilet paper. And then
my name.
is Bert. I've been waiting for this moment. Tweet me. And I rolled the toilet paper back up so that one day, a month from them, someone would go and go, what the fuck?
Oh, that's.
I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the creativity of this so much. I'd sit and, oh, look at this. This is a good one. I'd sit.
This went from I don't like pranks. I've never
apparently
done
love
pranks.
I love pranks. Oh, I forgot about this. I forgot
But
about this.
how funny is it that
Well,
you said I don't like pranks, and now there's like
This is all
you
I
have
did.
a 30-year prank career.
And then we were in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. I think it's Glenwood Caverns, and I checked in. I was with Sam Champion. Do you remember Sam Champion?
Yeah, sure. The
I was
weather
with-
guy,
yeah.
the blonde guy.
I was with Sam Champion, and the people behind the thing were like very playing it weird, and they were like, "Mr. Kreischer, hope you enjoy your stay." And I was like, "Thank you." And they were like, they're like, would you like a beer? I was like, they don't normally give beers at the front desk, but yeah, I'll take a beer. And Sam Champion's like, they must really know their reputation. And they're like, okay. And they're like, hey, and feel free to videotape anything around the premises and enjoy your evening. I was like, all right, whatever. I go to my room, I open the door, and they had replaced my bed with a white water raft. They had mummies of towels that looked like that were in scuba gear paddling with me and my wife. They had must have spent the entire day. And I opened the door and I saw it and I started crying. I was so touched.
Oh.
And I was like, but I freaked out at first. I was like, what the fuck? And then I started crying. I go, oh my God. And I sat there with my beer and I drank it looking at all the little nuances. And I was like, is this what it feels like to get like, this is an awesome feeling.
Right.
When you realize I'm not dying, I'm not dead. Oh shit. They did this for me.
They did.
This is a treat. Oh.
It's a kind of a great opportunity. You very rarely do we get it back.
Yeah.
at us. And
Now I want to be pranked.
Well, I don't know if that's how it works. But
God.
this is a very funny. I'm always going to remember this podcast, Bert. It's,
See, I'm the kind of guy
the
who,
one where you said, I don't like pranks, not into pranks. And then we spend the last hour of the podcast looking through your cornucopia of pranks that you hate, that you don't like to do. Not only do you not, that you do them, and not only did you forget about them, but you talked about a life-changing moment where you just sat in the midst of a prank that was done for you, crying about how good your life was.
I can't believe it.
Hmm?
Do you-
Come on our show and do pranks.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Oh, I
Will you
love
be
it.
on my podcast?
I
and do
would
a prank?
love to. I'd
We'll
love
figure
to.
out who you want to prank. And I don't only do it on the phone. I have a thing where, you know what's fun is I send people, I have a little Bluetooth speaker that I put in people's masks. And I just send them into a store and I
Oh
can
my
say,
God.
it sounds like it's their voice coming out of them. So I can have them say
Oh, that's-
anything at a counter. And it
Oh, that's
usually
hilarious.
just embarrasses the shit out of whoever I send into the place. But maybe you could do that. You could be the
Yeah.
voice of the mask, or whoever will send into a Starbucks or a 7-Eleven, or we do phone calls. We make weird appointments. We call friend. You could do it on a friend. I saw you. Did you prank your friend, or did Tom prank the video when you did the music video?
Oh no, that was, I did the music video to promote my tour, and then it sold my tour out and added shows, and then Tom was like, well, he got really upset because everyone said I could dance,
Right, that was it.
and he was like, I can dance way better, and I was like, you can't. So then he spent $60,000 to
Right.
make a music video, and then the prank. Oh, this is a good one
That was
too.
the prank,
The
right?
prank that he did was, he said to me, hey man, I want to do new artwork for our podcast. So we just taped a podcast, and he goes, can you, they've got
All
cameras.
the
they
picture of your face.
Yeah, we need a picture of your face. I was like, yeah, sure thing. I love pranks. I forgot this. And so I love pranks. It's so funny because I just watched
So
a
you got
documentary
your
last
face.
night.
Who's the director of that got all the shots of your face?
I don't remember his name. He's,
Oh, because I did a show with him. It was on, I forget what that little streaming that's gone, but Kirby Jenner. Do you know Kirby Jenner?
no.
He's the guy who directed that. Kirby Jenner is
Yeah.
a guy who is supposedly one of the Jenner kids that didn't get. He's got a really funny Instagram site, and we did a
Really?
show where he used real found footage. But the guy who directed it is the guy who made you take all those shots of
Yeah.
your face.
And he did all the pictures of my face, and he's like, now look sad. And I was like, woo. And I really was doing it.
I know. I
And
saw
then-
it. It was. I
but
saw
the-
the week he finished it.
Oh, for
he
real?
was working with me, and he goes, "Look what we're doing." And I said, "Oh, it was amazing."
And then when the best part of that video, because I watched his dance, I was like, oh, the dance is good. But when I saw me, I went, hang on. And I did the math, and I went, oh. And when I figured it out, I lost my shit. But that was a great prank. That was a good one. God, I forgot.
You like pranks?
I do like pranks.
I just got back from a tour of your new house, and you know what I saw in the kitchen?
A skylight frame.
That's right.
Well, that skylight frame plays all the time, and it cheers me up nonstop. I love this freaking thing. It looks like a piece of art in the house.
Yeah.
And you upload all your photos to it. They make great gifts. I bought them for my mom, my dad, both my sisters. We bought them for all our camper friends. And you send an email. It's super easy. It's a touchscreen photo frame, and you can email photos to it, and they appear in seconds. In other words, you get to share all your favorite moments with the people that matter to you, all your families. I got this for everyone in my family, and God, I should have one for the bus.
They're actually bigger than I thought they were going to be, too.
Oh.
It's awesome.
It's fantastic. It makes a great gift. Over right now, get ahead of the holidays and order yourself one. Anyone can send photos to the frame in just seconds. It's a great way to keep in touch with friends and family. It's effortless to use. The setup literally takes 60 seconds. The least tech-savvy people, my mom included, can use it, so you can use it. The skylight frame has a gorgeous 10-inch touchscreen, so you can swipe through the photos with your fingers and even tap to thank the person who sent the photo. And best of yet, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. If you don't love your skylight frame, they're going to offer you a full refund. You can tap the heart button, and it will let the sender know you love the photo. This makes the frame interactive and fun to use. I'm telling you, you're going to absolutely love it. I love our skylight frames, and we've gotten them for everyone we love. I just want to find more people to love so I can give people more skylight frames. We love our frames so much, we're offering our listeners $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com and enter the code BERT. That's right. To get $10 off your purchase of a skylight frame, Just go to skylightframe.com and enter the code Bert. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com and use the code Bert. I'm the kind of guy that always thinks,
Do you like Middle Eastern food?
I love Middle Eastern food.
Do you like? I was trying to find something that you'd say no to, and then you can reminisce about really loving.
I what was what
prank?
was it? No. This is crazy. I can very easily trick myself into believing that someone's throwing a surprise party for me.
Randomly
for birthdays. For every birthday.
I just thought every day, like it's Thursday. I just feel like somebody wants to celebrate me.
What
do you mean?
Do
you have you had surprise parties?
I've never had a surprise birthday.
So where did that come from?
But every birthday since I was 30, every birthday, I believe this is my surprise birthday, and my feelings get hurt at the end of the night when no one throws me a surprise birthday.
Have you told this to your wife?
I know I can't share it because everyone will be like,
you just shared it. Are you going to edit this out of the podcast?
No. But
so I would imagine this year she doesn't listen.
She's not going to listen. I'm on the road. I'm in DC on my birthday, but now
she knows where you are. She knows the date, and she knows how to make your dreams come true. My wife is fascinated because my best pranks, notoriety has ruined it for me. Like if people recognize you or they know you're a comedian, the best thing for me, and it's for me, the more you think I'm a fucking idiot, the funnier it is for me. The more you just think, asking a ridiculous question and forcing you to give me an answer and then walking away. And my wife going before I was known, I would walk into, this is not politically correct now, but I would have the most graphic porn shots of horrible porn shots, but there'd be a comforter on the bed and the guy's, fucking her in the ear. And I would go into Bed Bath and Beyond and just say, is this a duvet cover? My wife wanted me to buy a duvet cover. Is this the duvet cover? And do you have this pattern?
God,
and just stand. And there's no camera.
Yeah,
there's no.
There's no camera.
No,
we were. I was just telling. We were just. We had a PTA meeting. This is when Isla was in 5th grade, and we went into the PTA meeting, and they announced all the people running for office, and the president, Jenna Schwartz, was running unopposed. And I turned back to Brian Stepanek. I go, hey, nominate me for president. And he was like, for real? I was like, yeah. He's like, I nominate Bert Kreischer. I go, I accept. And my wife's like, you want to be president? And I go, no, but I'm not letting anyone run unopposed. And I gave the most moving, heartfelt speech. And Jenna, who was running unopposed, did not have one prepared. And my
Neither
speech,
did you.
my speech was so good that everyone was like, I'm voting for this guy. And then I let her get up to start her speech. And now she's panicking. She's like, I had a hurt knee. That's why I stopped hiking with him. It's done. Listen. And then my wife's like, you got to make this stop.
See the difference between you and me? My wife says you got to make it stop, and I don't listen. And then she doesn't talk to. Wasn't she just mad at me for something like this recently? Yeah, every day. What did I just? There was one that she said that I didn't stop. It was just. It is every day.
Yeah.
And every day, if you think that I'm a fucking idiot, for me, that's a win. Not if you say I'm the funniest guy in the world. If you think if I can convince you, it's just so awkward. Down to the simplest things, like all these spam calls we all get.
Yeah.
My record right now is 55 minutes. I try to see how long I could hold these people on the phone, just asking. And it's not, I don't record it, but for me, the number is 55. So now I got to beat 50. I haven't been able to beat 55. But just not understanding. And she goes, you're not even, and my wife says, you're not even recording this. It's not going to air somewhere. You're not even talking about it. Who is this for? And after 42 years of marriage, she still doesn't understand. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives me just anything that makes comedy for me. That's a green light. Like anything that makes me giggle, anything that can possibly go into my act, anything like that. Like I bet this kid one time about a Rams game. He's like 12 years old. He's my buddy's son. I bet him that the Rams were going to win $200. And he's like, I don't have $200. I go, you got some stuff I want. And he goes, what? And I said, I want to cut your hair. And he was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, you might want to think it through. And he goes, no, deal. I go, go ask your dad. And he's like, Dad, Bert wants about me too. He's like, you don't have $200. He goes, yeah, but he's going to cut my hair. And his dad just starts laughing. He goes, think it through. Dude, I have never laughed harder in my life.
Oh, that's so funny. Did you laugh it?
Oh, I cut
Did you cut it?
Yeah. Oh, first thing I did is cut his bangs to look like Simple Jack from Tropic
Do you have
Thunder.
a picture of that?
I recorded the whole thing, but he started crying. and I was drunk and I started going, this is how you raise a man. This is how, and my wife's like, you're being a bully now. I was like, if my uncles would have never let me cry. No, and his dad's drunk and his dad's like, he made the bed. He's got to lie in it. And it became a big.
And where is that child today?
He was at my house making smash burgers last night.
You took him home?
No,
his dad's looking for him.
him.
It's been 2 years now, and you haven't he's locked in. This looks like a guest house, but it's really the chamber.
Yeah. So wait, before we've done it a little over an hour now, and I don't want to take you too long, but I'm curious because, like I said, I had a real meltdown, the first real meltdown I've ever had in a while, and I talked about it on Two Bears One Cave. I have been open and honest about my OCD, anxiety, and all that stuff. I don't even think until I watched yours, because I remember hearing about your OCD third hand. And when you came out about it, and it was kind of like normalized a little bit, and I may not have felt that way for you, but where you'd be in circles like, yeah, I don't know why we're shaking hands anyway. And now that coronavirus is out, it must have been like a whirlwind of like, that's what I've been saying this whole time, everybody.
People say that, but the truth of the matter is, and I make jokes about it because that's what we do, but the truth is that if there was any respite for me in my own mind, when intellectually that you're not acting right and your response is not right, but you can't control the response, that's painful. You know what I mean? I know that how many people do you know that have died from shaking hands? I don't know anybody. No. But the fact is that I can't, even though I know that so what was holding me up at the beginning was, besides going to therapy and medication, was everybody would go, I'm okay. And everybody's okay. And you really don't have to worry. And I'm clean. And I just washed my hands. And, it's not cold and flu season. And we're outside. But now with a world pandemic, there isn't any comforting words, So it's not a contest where I can go, told you, or so we're all living in that dilemma that when this world pandemic doesn't exist, my mindset isn't any different.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And this just exacerbates those thoughts. So any moment of not being on a podcast, not being on stage, not doing my show, just lying there in the dark at night, it's like a fucking cesspool of scary thoughts, and which at best could just agitate me. And then being around me as I'm agitated, I talked about it in the documentary. My wife, gave me an ultimatum. If I wasn't going to get help and find some coping skills, then she was out. She was going to leave with the kids. And so I have some coping skills. I'm not saying it's still not hard. It's harder than ever. And I don't think I'm doing well through this pandemic. I know a lot of people are doing worse. And I'm not doing well mentally, through this. But a lot of people aren't.
This pandemic, I talked about this, so I don't want anyone to think that like I'm very comfortable talking about all of it, but I'm not comfortable around people anymore. I used to be. I don't have a problem with cleanliness, oddly enough, but I used to be meet and greets, shirtless, arms around each other, and so I had never had a problem. Now I have a weird problem with big groups start making me very nervous, and it never made me nervous ever.
Well, I did. We just shot a gala for laughs, even though we don't have the actual event up in Montreal. We shot something here, and I talked about how for 45 years I've been doing comedy, and I think the longest I've gone without being on stage is 2.5 weeks until this 2 years.
Yeah.
And my wife actually forced me to get back up on stage. And I got up at the West Side Comedy Club for the first time in 2 years to try to put together. And I just became soaked with sweat within the first second. And there were people that were too close, and there were people not wearing masks because they're drinking. They have a beer, and it's legal, and you can be inside like that. And it just freaked me out. So I started going over to Supernova. Have you gone over there?
Yeah, outdoor venue. Yeah. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
This is my first week home, really.
You're vaxxed, right?
I'm vaxxed. I got tested yesterday for this. But here's my thing: is I am because we call it big brain, little brain with me. So like big brain is the bad voices, and little brain is who I am. So some mornings, little brain will wake up and be like, "Hey, we're gonna have a great day, buddy. Like, let's not look in the mirror because that spot on your face, you don't want to think about what that is." And then I'm like, "Great." And he's like, "Let's go get some coffee." Wait, coffee's a bad idea. Coffee brings big brain out. And then all of a sudden, big brain wakes up. He's like, "What the fuck? Why didn't anybody wake me up? We got to go to the airport today. We're fucking dying. We're dying. We're drinking today. We're definitely drinking." But this one in Denver airport was packed, and I'd never been around that many people. That I'm cool at a club. I'm cool at a venue. I'm cool backstage. But in Denver airport, I just started people aren't. Attack. Yeah, I'm with my wife. My wife drops a rental car off. My daughters go get in the non-TSA line. I can't go through and not let them get through. I just started melting down, and at one point we're sitting in a restaurant over to the corner, away from everybody, and I have this thing that happens when I get bad where I just can't see past my knees, is what I call it. Like I'm just here, and my body is just wrecked, and I'm trying to do breathing exercises, and my wife's like, "Hey, like, get a drink or something." And I couldn't drink anything. I didn't want alcohol. It just made me want to throw up. And then we get on the plane, and I'm like, I felt like for the first time, I felt like I did when I go scuba diving. So I get a panic attack scuba diving.
Then why do you keep going?
But it was all for television. I just had to do it. And so I started going like, I'm getting claustrophobic. And then I was like, I just started laughing and kind of crying, going like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is, and my wife, and then we got home. And as soon as I get home, it's gone. I'm in my house. I'm in my yard. We're relaxed. We have a glass of wine, and she's like, this is kind of crazy. She was like, I've never seen you that bad. And I was like, oh, I've been that bad before. But for me, it's like, it's weird things, like one word or one phrase from a song will keep repeating.
Oh yeah.
And I'll just keep repeating that over and over again. And
well, I explain to people that obsessive compulsive disorder, like everybody goes, I have a little bit of that. And what it is you just described it kind of perfectly, but you get these thoughts that maybe make no sense. Like, I'm going to die and that's it. But so much so you can't stop them from repeating so much so. And this is what OCD is. So much so that it stops your life. I can't function. I've missed meetings. I've missed things because, I'll be at home checking the door 3,800 times and and I know that I've checked it, and then I smash my knuckle into it, almost break my knuckle and cut my hand just so that pain will tell me, but I can't even work through that pain. I go, maybe I loosened it now. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to check it again. And then my wife goes, stop checking it. And I go, because you're telling me to stop, I got to go check it. We get in a big fight. She walks away. I miss the whole evening. And it's hell for everybody around me, including myself.
Oh, I set booby traps around the house. So I'll put like skateboards on doors so that if anyone, like I'll lock the doors and I go, that didn't do it. You want to hear about a bad one, a real bad one I had?
Yeah.
So when we were renovating that house, we had an outdoor grill, like a little camping grill with a little tiny propane. And my wife says, oh, did we leave? Because people were breaking in and stealing from our front yard. She goes, did we bring the little grill in? And I went, no, I don't think I did. And she goes, well, we should get it. So I bring it in and she goes, did you bleed the propane? I said, I didn't. And she goes, we'll definitely do that. And then to make sure it's off. So I turn it on to bleed it and I let it run. And it's been running. And she goes, hey, dickhead, did you turn off the propane? And I went, I don't think so. She goes, you just been putting propane in our house? And I was like, oh my God, I just filled up our living with propane. So I turned it off and then she's like, all right, don't worry, we're going to be fine. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be fine. And I'm thinking, if I don't do the math on this, if I don't figure this out. So my daughters are in a different room. And then I Google propane. Propane sinks to the ground. And I was like, but my wife and I are in a bed. My daughters are in bunk beds. They should be fine. At least if we die, they live. And then I'm sitting in the bed starting to fall asleep. I go, it's the propane. The propane's killing me. And so this is the one fix I had is I took the cat and took it off the bed on the floor and I just watched the cat. And I was like, all right, if the cat is alive for the next 10 minutes, we're going to make it.
What do they put down? It's like the bird in the coal mine.
Canary in the coal mine. Yeah. And so.
Plus the fact that you got to worry now that if anybody ever finds all your searches, it looks like you're trying to kill your family.
Yeah.
Where does propane, how fast does propane travel?
I wish I could, I can get through it. I get through it. And I hide it a lot. A lot of mine are double numbers. If I ever see double numbers, I got to say a prayer. If I have to kiss my daughters before they go to school because I think that if I don't kiss them, then they'll get out the door quicker and then they won't catch the red light. And today I got in my car. It's almost like I can't even control my brain. My brain will go, hey, say goodbye to your wife, or maybe you'll miss the light and you'll get my car.
But here's the thing. You're intelligent enough that when you tell these stories out loud and you know that there's listeners going, wow, that's like crazy.
Yeah.
We know it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what makes it tougher because we can't, it seems silly. I have a lot of that, a ton of that. And it takes up so much energy and so much time. But even the fact is, like, you know that if you see an 11, you don't have to pray.
11's my number. Why'd you say 11? 11's my number. Okay. 11 is my number.
Double number.
If I see 11, I get on the treadmill and I sometimes have to put a towel over the numbers because I end up spending the whole time looking for double numbers.
So I spend the whole time, I don't know why, but it's 207. So I whenever 207, so when I'm on a treadmill, I have to see, I can't miss 207. That's the one time I got to look at the numbers. Then I got to see 1207. Then I got to see 2207. And then if I'm going to do 30 minutes, then I got to stop at 3207.
Yeah. So, okay. So if I'm on the treadmill, it's 11:11 or it's 12:12. But if it's 12:21, then that's a U for me. Right. So I'll, instead of saying my prayer, if I see 12:21, that's still okay. It's not the best, but I can go like this it makes me crazy because it does
make you crazy and you can't control it.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sitting there, I'm doing on the treadmill, my daughter's in there and I do my prayer. I've done it on Two Bears, One Cave. Tom's seen me where I look at the camera and I see the thing and I do the prayer and he goes, what the fuck are you doing? And I go, nothing, dude, don't worry about it. And I just do it. I don't care. I don't really care. I know there's people dealing with it too. And well,
a lot of people are dealing with it, but if it infringes on your productivity in your relationship, being a father, being a comedian, being a host, as soon as it starts infringing, and it was infringing on our relationship, my wife and I, so I've got some coping skills. It's really hard, and my kids have it too, and they're adults now. So
that's what I stopped doing. I could get out of the little thing I do when I see double numbers when my kids are around because I don't want them seeing it. And I go, it's better for me to have the bad thing that happens to me than my kids get this shit. Because if they
that's nature versus nurture. So that I don't know because they see you doing it if they're going to get it as much as there is something. There is studies, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not a doctor, that it can be genetic. And my kids are all adults now. I have grandkids, so 2 out of 3 of them have issues.
My dad's got panic. My sisters both have panic. I have panic. Both my daughters got panic attacks young, and my wife, like a gangster, just was like, they're not going through what you go through, and got them into therapy immediately.
My wife too.
And and my daughter said to me, you need to find some, at the airport, she goes, you should go to the doctor we went to. I was like, she was dealing with children. She goes, Dad, it's the same disorder. She was like, and this is my oldest daughter. She goes, same disorder, Dad. You need coping mechanisms.
Pretty smart. That's the same kid that did half a prank.
That is.
And now she's learned.
Yeah. Georgia May.
Kid. Yeah.
She's an interesting kid.
She is.
But
I always thought that I would grow up, get married, have kids, and teach them about the world. But I grew up, had kids, and they continue to teach me about the world. They become a lot smarter. And you learn how your words affect another human being. You learn how, you learn about life just by watching somebody. And, just to end this, but going back to the beginning of this conversation when we both talked and found it alike, when you're told no, that's the thing we want to do. But watch an infant, anybody who's got a kid, the kid's sitting in a high chair at the table and you go, don't touch that. And they look at you and they reach, they want to see what is the boundary.
Yeah.
When you say don't do that, there was a thing on TikTok a couple of months ago where people were taking candies and they put the candies in front of the kids. Did you see that? And they go, "Mommy will be back in a minute. Don't eat the candy until mommy gets back." And then they left the kid with the candy. And you see how many kids were just staring at the candies and couldn't leave them there. The truth is, the only difference between me as an infant and me as an adult is I shit my pants a little less. But I think I have the same persona.
Yeah.
That I've always had. And I am that baby. I used to think that people grow up and then they run the world. Boy, adults know what they're doing. And then I realized that asshole that was sitting next to me picking his nose is, running he's a governor now. It's just so fucking weird.
Well, I got to tell you, this was an absolute honor to have you on my podcast. I'm a huge fan. I've been a huge fan for
thank you.
Probably your entire career practically. And I can't tell you.
Thanks. You got a beautiful place here. This is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
I am a fan, and I've been watching you for a long time now. And come on my podcast.
I would love that.
Howie Mandel does stuff wherever podcasts are available.
And you got the new documentary that's on Peacock.
It's on Peacock. Yes.
Enough About Me.
Enough About Me.
Yeah, it was a great documentary.
Yeah. What are you doing next? You on the road?
I am. I'm on the road. I had such a bad experience in the airport. I'm on the road all of October. I'm just going to live in the tour bus. And so...
Are you? You're not going to stay in a hotel?
No, I also, a little about COVID, I want to make sure we're safe, so I put us in a bubble. So everyone stays on the tour bus. We have zero contact. We did that. We toured throughout the pandemic.
Who opens for you?
Steve Fury, Jesus Trejo, Shane Torres, and Dave Williamson.
Oh, wow. So that's a lot for your money.
We switch them out. We do 2 and 2. So everyone kind of jumps on and off, but during the pandemic, they were all on the tour bus with us, and we toured, did 60 drive-in movie theaters. No one ever got COVID. No one, and that was all. Yeah, knock on wood. But
that's great. Did you like that drive-in thing?
I loved it.
With the people?
No, they didn't honk. See, I was not to toot my own horn, but I was the one that came up with the concept, and so I was the first person to do it. I did it out of. That's why I got the Variety Award, pretty much, is that I did it. Me and Nick Nusiforo set it up. We did it with Hotbox, and we did the first one in North Carolina to see if it would work. We did 4 dates, and I loved it. I loved it because it gave people an opportunity to get out of their house, to stay safe, and to put on a show. And we ended up doing 60 cities. And I ended up loving it. But honking during the drive-in, I wouldn't allow. And I told everyone, like I talked to Gaffigan.
Well, how'd you hear the laugh?
I heard just listen to him.
In the car, the windows are open?
Oh, no. So for mine, everyone had an isolated space, like a designated space where they could get out, put their chairs
out of the car.
Yeah, it was a drive-in, so they could get out, put their chairs out, put out hibachis. They were grilling, they were pre-partying, they were tailgating. They were smoking meats. It was amazing, and everyone stayed into their own little locations. If you went into the bathrooms, you had to put a mask on, and it was zero contact for everyone. And they were out of their cars. It was just like doing an outdoor show.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I didn't know you started that.
Yeah. I the day lockdown started, my special aired. Stay-at-home orders come in on the 13th, 15th. My special aired on Netflix on the 17th. And on the 17th, I got, it's that brain that we have where I go, I'm not just going to sit and this, I need to get out and tour.
That special blew up though. It was more people. Yeah.
It did pretty good. With lockdown orders are pretty good for a special.
They are. We don't wish on it, but it's.
We don't wish on it, but.
But thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.